After this draft and trade, we are the North. Let's go, baby. Let's go.
Hello and welcome. I'm your host, William Liu. You're listening to the Hello and Welcome podcast presented by Betway. Make sure you find Hello and Welcome wherever you listen to podcasts. Subscribe. Please rate and review our program. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube and just continue to follow all the draft coverage, all the free agency coverage, all the trade coverage involving the Toronto Raptors. Joining us on the podcast today is one of the winningest coaches in the NCAA right now, 21 years and counting with Baylor. Kentucky came calling. He said, no, I'm staying. I want to say hello and welcome to Baylor head coach Scott Drew. Scott, how you doing?
I am doing excellent, and after this draft and trade, we are the North. Let's go, baby. Let's go.
You're the perfect person to talk to about this because obviously as soon as the Raptors took Jacoby Walter, I'm like, all right, we got to talk to his coach. Let's get the background on this kid, and of course we'll talk a lot about him. But then of course Davion Mitchell gets traded to the Raptors shortly thereafter as well. So there's lots to talk about, and I might even sneak in another question to ask you a little bit later on. But let's start with Jacoby. So I've been doing some research into him, and I found a letter that Jacoby had wrote in Sports Illustrated. This is back in 2022 on why he decided to commit to Baylor. And he mentioned two main reasons for his decision. Number one, he loved the way that Baylor developed guards. And number two was the closeness that he felt with you and assistant coach Alvin Brooks. So tell us about the recruitment process and sort of when you got to know Jacoby in the first place.
Well, we recruited Jacoby for a long time in Texas. We started early, I think, when he was born and coming home from the hospital. We gave him the first letter of intent. And but
you heard that he was named after Jordan and Kobe, so it's I can't miss.
You know, you're getting. You do a good job when you have pictures when they're smaller than you, and then they're a lot taller than you. You're like, yeah, we identified that one well. So, but Jacoby's somebody that. Unbelievable family. Right away, we knew perfect fit for Baylor's culture, and it's really easy to get close to people that you vibe with and have so much in common with. And Jacoby's extremely humble, extremely hardworking, high character, somebody that will represent the Raptors in a way that will make not only the organization proud, but the whole country proud.
Yeah, well, this is great. I'm off to a great start. It's making me a lot more excited, just in general, about sort of who he is and the person, because we can all talk about the game and we can see that to some degree, and we'll talk about that for sure. But I wanted to know more, just about who he is as a person, maybe where he comes from in terms of the people, his life and the family that he's with. And I thought you would be a good person to ask about that. Like, who is Jacoby as a person, first and foremost?
So Jacoby, his dad was a great defensive player in college, and I think that carries over to Jacoby because he understands the importance of winning plays. He understands the importance of defense, and he's somebody physically will continue. He's just a pup. He'll continue to get bigger and stronger, but he's got the heart of a lion, and he wants to win first and foremost. And as a coach, anytime you have a player that is a great teammate and cares most about the team winning, you're in great shape. And for instance, some guys come in, and if they're a five-star guy, they're expected to be a lottery pick or a first-round pick. And if they score 4 points or don't get enough touches or whatever, they pout, their body language isn't good. Jacoby, you would never know if he scored 26 and had the game winner or if he had 4 points and was 1 for 12 from 3. He's somebody, as long as the team won, he was happy, and he never let his offense carry over to his defense. And that's why beyond a shadow of doubt, knock on wood, he stays injury-free, that he's going to be a great pro because he's going to do whatever his coach wants, whatever the team needs, and he's just an energy giver and not a vampire.
Yeah, that's awesome because they talk about so much at the NBA level about who you are in the locker room, how do you fit with people, obviously can you execute what the coach wants, and can you be happy in a role and then eventually grow from there. So those are all huge aspects that I'm happy to hear about. In terms of on the court offensively, we'll start there because he came in as a scorer and he did lead the team in scoring this year for you guys. How did you use him on offense? What was your approach with Jacoby on offense?
Well, Jacoby's somebody that is a great shooter, and he can make tough shots. He puts time in to do that. Somebody that I think you can run him off a lot more pin downs and screening actions than maybe we did, and he can be really successful. At the same time, he's somebody that has a good understands shot selection, and a lot of times freshmen, rookies, they're great because they have a lot of confidence in their ability, but that leads to a lot of tough shots. And Jacoby can make tough shots, but he doesn't take a lot of bad shots. For him, we scrimmaged A&M. I think he was like 9 for 11 for 3 or something. Then we played Auburn, and he was on fire. So he right away went to everybody's top of the scouting report. And that's really hard to do. It's like nobody wants to be the pace car. Nobody in any race wants to be the leader. Because that's harder. You get all the wind resistance, you know. And all season long, he was the first person people talked about stopping. So for him to handle it and do what he did through the Big 12, we faced the number one defense in the country in the Ken Palm Analytics. So he faced the best of the best and was able to help our team to a top 3 seed. And anytime you're able to do that in the NCAA, you've had a great year. And especially, people don't realize these freshmen had a tougher challenge than any other freshman ever from the standpoint, not only did they get a COVID year, but a lot of waivers got approved. I mean, there's scouting reports where guys were 6-year seniors, 5th-year seniors, 4th-year seniors. We played against a guy that was 26 years old. That means when he was 16, our guys were, 9 years or 7 years old? I mean, that's crazy, just the difference in age and maturity and everything.
Yeah, it's interesting because, the Raptors after draft day ended up walking out with Jacoby, who's 19, someone younger than Jacoby actually as well, coming from the NBA Africa Academy as well, who's 18, and he doesn't turn 19, coach, until December 30th. And then they signed somebody who's also a rookie coming out of Utah, Branden Carlson, and he's 25, right? So that's exactly what you're talking about right there with the differential. But obviously you had a big workload within your offense. What kind of things do you I guess you mentioned sort of using him more off of screens, but what are the other things you think he'll continue to work on and find his footing in the NBA level in terms of getting better on offense?
Well, he was really efficient, didn't waste a lot of dribbles, but he's someone that'll get better playing off of ball screens. He'll be better at creating his own shot with the spacing you get in the NBA. But physically, as he gets bigger and stronger, his defense will just continue to get better. But the best thing that he does, and it doesn't matter now, later, is he cares first and foremost about winning. And he's an everyday guy, never had a bad practice. So all those things will allow him to help earlier rather than later. And when he's 25, he should be a lot better than when he is now. I mean, that's next 6 years. That's what he's working on to become a better player. But what he has right now, you can't teach. Either people are selfish, they don't have a motor, they don't care about the teammates or winning. If you got all that with his type of athleticism, God-given ability and potential, you got something.
Yeah. Hey, wait, one last question just about the offense, because I noticed he drew a lot of fouls. Was there something in particular that made him so effective at drawing fouls and getting to the foul line?
Yeah, he doesn't care about contact. He seeks it out. Doesn't care about his body. Like in AAU his senior year, he led the country, had to be in charges. Like he would have taken 4 or 5 a game. So I mean, like he puts his body on the line for the team.
Right. Where do you think that comes from? That's the father's influence?
Yeah. My dad's a big dude. I wouldn't have jumped on the ground over a loose ball with him. I'd just given him that ball. But anyway, it's winning plays.
Yeah, hear you. Okay. Well, on the defensive end, what kind of role did he play in terms of on the defensive end at Baylor last season?
Well, the great thing is a lot of times, like a rookie in the NBA or a freshman, you have to hide them, and we didn't have to. So he's somebody, again, physically at 25, he'll be much better than he is now. But the will was there, the determination was there, and because of that, He's got great length. He's got athleticism. You could put him on anybody, and it wasn't a target. Wasn't a liability.
Okay. So in terms of from the Raptors side, we had actually heard from Raptors GM Bobby Webster, and he sort of told us about just the fact that the Raptors had sent some people down to Baylor to scout for about a week. I always wondered in terms of just the process of that. Like, are you made aware of that? Like, do NBA teams? I'm sure, obviously, they scout Baylor players all the time, and but like, how does that process work? And did you get to meet any of the Raptors front office people?
Well, we are the only team to have 4 straight years a top 19 pick. So we do not have a pro day, and the reason I don't want a pro day is I don't want pro scouts coming one day. I want them there every day, and we're in a great location, so people come in and we try to treat them right, hospitality wise and access wise. So we want them to get to know our players, and we feel that gives our players the best chance to be successful because a lot of them are good guys, and the NBA teams are going to want them to be a part of their organization. But the other thing is the NBA guys are great with their wisdom and knowledge and give us ideas on, hey, you probably could help him a little more this way or that way. Or so it's really a partnership. And Masai's one of the best in the business for a reason. He does his homework. He values a lot of things that we value here. And because of that, I think they're always going to, as long as we have talent, come down and watch Baylor players. But, I mean, if they pick someone, it's because they've done the full research on them. And so I know a lot of the Raptor personnel. I mean, Brady Heslop is from Toronto. Bandu is from Toronto. So Quincy Acey played up there. So we go back too. We've done several tours to Toronto.
Right. Yeah, that's nice. Man, actually one of my favorite people to interview was actually Ish Wainwright. Seemed like such a good person.
Great guy. Guy.
And he always talked about sort of the camaraderie with the Baylor program too. He spoke very highly of you guys. I think the only other thing I wanted to ask about in terms of just with Jacoby was Bobby Webster had mentioned potentially like a knee issue that may have like not shortened his season because he actually played through the whole year. But do you know what he might have been referencing in terms of just like he might have banged up his knee or something?
Well, first of all, there is no injury for Jacoby because that guy's going to play unless it's an ACL.
Okay. All right. He's a dog.
103 fever. Hey, coach, I'm good to go. Let's go. He does not miss. He does not get out. He's an everyday guy. And if anything, to be honest, because he's such a hard worker, that's probably the number one thing the Raptors will have to do is make sure he's going to do a ton of extra. And just over the course of 82 games, just similar to Davion Mitchell, that was the Kings. That was the thing they loved the most when they got him was like he made everyone else work hard. Because if your teammate's always in the gym, you feel like you got to be in the gym, right?
Right.
And at the same time, it's not 40 games like college or 30 some or 40, depending on postseason. So that would be the thing for both of them. But I can tell you one thing: those gym lights are going to be on 24/7.
You know what? Yeah, there is a fine balance because you always want hardworking players, but obviously 82 game season is a grind as well. But I'm excited to hear everything about Jacoby. It sounds great. I'm really looking forward to seeing how his career tracks with the Raptors. Davion Mitchell. So the Raptors also went out on day 2 of the draft and made a small trade and brought Davion over to Toronto. The Raptors have really badly needed more help at the point guard position, and especially on the defensive end, the Raptors really struggled last season. And I thought Davion Mitchell just fits sort of like a glove in that sense, right? We know the defensive reputation. Obviously, he's been in the league with the Kings for a couple of years now. But tell us about, obviously, you would know Davion a lot more, having worked so closely with them. What kind of person are the Raptors getting with Davion Mitchell, and sort of like what can people expect from him?
Well, the great thing is in coaching, sometimes you say, what can I lose with? And I can lose with Davion or Jacoby any day of the week because they have done all the prep, they've put in all the work, They've studied all the film, like whatever they are responsible for, they're going to do that and more. So with Davion, you're getting just a more experienced Jacoby as far as work ethic, teammate, and I think, one of the toughest things is for any level, you go from playing the whole time to being a reserve to, and that takes adapting and adjusting to, and at the same time, I know Davion is a much better player today than when he first got in the league, knowing how to not overwork and overdo things. But at the same time, I think his ability to when to pass, when not to in tougher situations is much greater, knowing spacing, length, and everything in the NBA. Defensively, turn him loose, let him cause chaos, let him keep people out of offense, because he's the Naismith Defender of the Year for a reason. And single-handedly, he can make your life miserable. So I think some of that's, every coach has different philosophies on what they do and how they do it, and there's no right or wrong. But with Davion, the great thing is that literally you can put him on anybody, and one of the things he does not get credit for enough is his toughness. There's some great clips of him blocking out centers, and there's no way in the world that center should not get the rebound, and he just wins those battles. Lowry was another player that
I was just going to mention. Yeah, we had a guy like that in Toronto for a long time.
Really good at blocking out, and that's why we could switch and put him on anybody, because his willingness to fight and his lower body strength are really impressive.
Yeah. I'm so happy you brought up the Lowry point, because I was just going to ask you in terms of just because the Raptors have had that, toughness, and I think it's a little bit different when it's the one of the shorter guys, one of the smallest guys on the court, sticking his nose in, and I knew it always gave the Raptors a huge boost when Kyle Lowry will stand in, and it's Joel Embiid is rolling to the basket, and he's I'm going to take this charge anyway. Stuff like that. I think it's just going to be such a big part for maintaining your energy and culture as a team. But I'm also curious. Davion Mitchell and Jamal Shead in the same team. The intensity is going to be crazy.
As a coach, you can't get it any better.
Yeah.
Part of being successful in the league is having guys that every day show up, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to motivate Shed, Davion, Jacoby. Them are everyday guys. Whatever they do, it's team first, and there's no motivation needed. So they might not win, but it won't be because of lack of effort.
Yeah. I was just gonna say, because you guys probably saw a lot of Jamal over the years.
And mad respect for him. Coach Sampson's a great coach. Did a phenomenal job with them, and I know Coach Sampson, when Davion was going through the draft process, said he was one of the top 3 guys he's ever coached against in college, two-way players, and it was Jason Kidd. And then 2 other Hall of Famers, and I forget, but it was so impressive that's what he said. And then I would imagine he would put Jamal in that same category now. And again, half the battle is guys that are going to give 100% every night.
No, this is great. I feel
I know the Raptors fans appreciate that, because guys show up all the time.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think that's one of the things that I think fans are looking to get back to, right? Because last year they had a bit of a down season, only winning 25 games. A lot of bad circumstances as well, a lot of trades, a lot of injuries. But I think more than anything else, people in Toronto will always appreciate hardworking, scrappy players, people who are lunch pail guys. And from this conversation, I'm walking away that the Raptors have added 3 great people. 3 great workers to the organization, and I'm really, really excited. So, Scott, I don't want to take up too much more of your time. I appreciate you so much for letting us know who the Raptors just picked up And yeah, we're going to do our best to sort of take care of your boys over here in Toronto. All right. That was our interview with Baylor head coach Scott Drew. Seems like a great guy, honestly. His energy, very infectious. We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, I'm going to bring in my co-host Alex Wong. We're going to talk about more Raptors news, including Immanuel Quickley signing a $175 million contract. Welcome back to the Hello and Welcome podcast. Next up, we want to say a hello and welcome to a left-handed hook shot specialist, offensive rebound machine, coming to us live and direct from a is none other than co-host and producer Alex Wong, someone who was out last night until the wee hours of the morning celebrating 10 years to Patois. Congratulations to Craig and Ivy and everyone involved at Patois. What's going on, my brother?
Yeah, shouts to Patois. Go North. Go North.
Yo, you got to follow up the energy from Coach, because he was,
Coach was saying
he was on it.
Listen, Coach Scott Drew was amazing. Shouts to him, but he was talking about how Jacoby Walter is an energy giver and not like a vampire. Well, the vampire is here for the second segment. Bro, so what's good?
I'm tired, man. You know what's good. I was out till 4 a.m.
What do you want from me, man? Like you said in the original press release, man. I'm here for perspective. You want an energy giver, man? You got to look elsewhere.
I'm feeling that rum punch this morning. Okay, we got some news and notes with the Raptors that we didn't get to.
Notes,
biggest story of today with the Raptors is that the Raptors have signed Immanuel Quickley. He intends to sign.
Why is it bam?
Goodness, man, the energy is not like that. Raptors intend to sign Immanuel Quickley to a 5-year, $175 million contract. Yeah, Alice, what were your thoughts when you woke up this morning and saw this news?
Yeah, happy that this got done. Again, not trying to make the Raptors offseason sound boring or predictable, but I think, this is one of the things along with the Scotty max extension that, we expected to happen. I think it's good that this didn't have to, drag out into like restricted free agency or anything like that. And then the deal is done. I was very impressed with IQ after he came over from New York. And I know, with Fred moving on, and then, do you guys remember when we started the season with Dennis Schroeder as our point guard as well?
We were saying hello and welcome to them every Tuesday or Thursday.
Yeah.
And he would be calling from like eating a burger or on a massage table or playing Blu-ray in the hotel.
Sitting in front of Josh Sue on the team bus.
Oh man, remember Josh Sue and the team bus? Like there was so many things, right? So yeah, we have obviously, we have secured the point guard of the future, which is really nice.
Yeah, we did it. We did it, Joe. So,
right.
It's good. It's good. But again, like, outside of the Bruce Brown, Old Town Road saga, I think the Raptors offseason is kind of moving as you would expect.
Yeah, I mean, we all knew that the Raptors would retain Immanuel. It was just a matter of how much it was going to come in at. Like, is there a bit of sticker shock when you see 175?
No, honestly, like I think people have now gotten used to. I think the way we talk about contracts now is just like percentage of the cap now, right?
Right.
Like instead of just looking at the price,
right?
So the way you're looking at the price, like the 175 million, I think that's in line with what I was expecting, kind of what he was gonna get. But now you've got Scotty locked in, you've got Quickley locked in. RJ's under a pretty long-term contract as well, so. Let's see what these three can do. The BBQ crew,
That's
they should call them the cookout or something.
Ooh, I kind of like that. Actually,
I don't know if a Chinese guy can say let's call them the cookout.
Nah, but that's kind of fire, man. Okay, all right. The cookout. It's better.
There we go. Go North.
It's better than BBQ Dick, which is what people were calling it for like the solid second half of last season, man.
Oh, brother.
Yeah, I mean. I think when we talked about the contract, we were sort of like estimating that maybe it'll come in between $25 to like $30 million a year annual value. This comes in at 35, so obviously it's a little above that. I think so long as the contract doesn't preclude the Raptors from being able to make other moves, then I don't necessarily see it as an issue. Clearly, you want to keep Quickley around. You went out specifically, you targeted Quickley, obviously as one of the two pieces from the OG Anunoby trade. And let's be honest, the main piece, right? Because RJ's value has really changed and his perception really changed. It wasn't so long ago when we were talking about or the reports were that like anonymous GMs are calling him a toxic asset, which reveal yourself, anonymous GM. You're a toxic GM. You're a toxic person.
Reveal yourself, Daryl Morey.
Oh man, talking about percentage of the cap, that's on 100. But like,
just keep trying on that joke format.
It's gonna hit, man. It's gonna hit. But yeah, I mean, like,
no cap room like Jake Fisher. Man.
Oh man, yo, Jake Fisher had an adventure on draft night, man. Shout out to Jake Fisher.
Did his phone get hacked as well?
No, he was just like he was like, yeah, Jeremy came to the Heat, and he's like, damn it, I'm so sorry, it's Khalil Ware, and I was like,
no, I think he got locked out of his account yesterday too.
Oh yeah, so did Shams too, man. I know Woj put that hit out, man.
Oh my god,
Woj said is enough, man. You fuck with my Dan Hurley reporting, it's over for you.
Dan Hurley, aka Evil Bobby Marks.
Yeah, oh yeah. A real strong energy with Dan Hurley as well. Scott Drew better, but like,
what are we talking about?
175 for Quickley. Our point guard's is sort of secured. I think. Look, just like with the Scotty contract, I think it prices in some of the expected improvement with both of those guys. And again, like once you put a big number on a guy, all of a sudden the expectations change, right? Like Quickley last year was making like probably like somewhere in the range of 5 to 10 per year, and so your expectations weren't like as sky high. But all of a sudden, once it's the same person today and versus yesterday, but now he's 175. Like all of a sudden, it feels totally different. But I do think that it prices in like they expect improvement from Quickley. They expect improvement from Scotty. I think honestly, more than anything else, those two guys got to learn how to play off of each other more and more. That was the idea, right? It's like you bring them in, they're gonna have a great 2-man game. You didn't see much 2-man game between the two of them when he first came in. But again, it was mid-season, a lot of injuries, lots of trades, lots of things going on. People throwing their own performances in the case of Jonte Porter
banking in a 3 while under a RICO investigation.
Oh man, he took that out of the bank, man. But like seriously, like you want to see more improvement, and I think it's really important for those two guys to develop that chemistry because clearly they're cemented. Like once you are the top earner, like Scotty, and also then Quickley be number 2, like you establish that that's your 1-2, right? And of course RJ is kind of 3 in that sense. So just continue to improve. I think for Quickley, he's got to get better on defense for me. Like I think whatever way that the Raptors can improve on defense is gonna be good. I liked about the direction of the draft this year. It's like you did take a lot of guys who can really like guard. They're a little bit smaller maybe, but like ultimately they can really defend. And so hopefully we get back because like the Raptors as a franchise should be a team that, we've never been like the high flying, super scoring, like whatever team, right? Even when we won the championship, we were defense first still. So I want to see us get back to that level. And I think Quickley as one of the leaders has to sort of join Scotty, for example, who also does commit a ton on the defensive end. But happy for Quickley, happy for the Raptors. You get some security on that front. And we move to the other 2 players that the Raptors selected. So last night, we talked about Jonathan Mobo. We talked about Jamal Shed. The Raptors then went out and got a 4th pick in this draft, the 57th pick, which was technically, I guess, like the second last pick because 2 picks were slashed because of tampering.
Philly and Phoenix were not allowed to participate in the second round.
Is this like
good old Daryl Morey and Matt Ishbia?
Was this still like the Daniel House like?
Yeah, I believe that was like the PJ Tucker, Daniel House signing that took place. I don't know what the Suns violated because all they did was sign minimum guys.
They tampered with Utah Watanabe.
They tampered with Josh Okogie.
They picked up his bill at Ramanishin.
Honestly, I wouldn't even investigate that if I was the league, man.
I'd be like, all right, cool, man.
Yeah, like it's cool, dog. Yeah. But yeah, Raptors. Who did the Raptors pick up, Will?
Well, they picked up Ulrich Chomche, who we actually talked about on our very first episode of Hello and Welcome. Remember, we were in the Red Bull Studios, and I was wearing a Bullway sweater. Shout out to Bullway, sponsor us. But like, just begging on this at this point. But like,
this segment's so funny.
We actually just talked. We talked about him. Remember, like I was watching Bobby Klitman highlights. I was watching Ulrich Chomche highlights. I think. So I got a little bit more intel in terms of just like how the draft process worked for him, and like I'm not gonna like sugarcoat it. It was like he certainly looked raw and needed to develop a couple skills and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, like he's one of the youngest players. I think he is the youngest player drafted this year. I don't think it's possible to be younger because he's born December 30th, 2005. So he's 18 years old until like the end of the year, right? And so he's super raw. He's got to like, I looked into a little bit of his background. He comes from like a really small town as well. Like, he's Cameroonian and he was playing in the NBA Academy in Africa. And like, he's got to get a lot better in terms of the skill set. The physical tools, I honestly reminds me a little bit of Bruno in a second, I guess a second version of Bruno in terms of just like, they're so raw coming out. Basically, it's another 2 year away from 2 years away situation. I think with Ulrich, though, he is like a little bit bigger than Bruno was already. Bruno came in like 6'8", probably like 110 pounds. It looked like he was like physically like superimposed or something, like in a funhouse mirror. But like Ulrich, I think, is a little bit stronger than that. But ultimately, the skill set is kind of similar. And there's not a long history of him like playing basketball. And so you see that in like a lot of like areas where, again, he's raw. But the physical tools are really good. He has really good shot blocking mechanics, and he's very fluid. He's almost a 7-footer, but he moves like a guard. And the goal is the Raptors hopefully teach him some basketball, sign him probably to a 2-way contract, and track his development for the first couple years and see how quickly he catches on. But I don't expect him to play all that much. But
and then the Raptors also signed an undrafted center from Utah, Branden, Carlson. What can you tell us about Branden?
Yeah. I mean, this is just all from just looking it up, but he's 25. Like he's one of these 5-year seniors because I think COVID gave everyone an extra year eligibility. So the man just kept hooping with a headband.
So he a hooper.
He is definitely
Thanks,
a hooper.
Man.
He's
Go to Wikipedia, guys.
You could catch this guy at Christie Pitts. He's one of those hoopers, man. No, but he's a 7-footer, kind of a skinnier 7-footer. Obviously not necessarily the most physical player, but has a really nice jump shot. Worked a lot in pick and pops, some like transition trail threes as well. And then a little bit of work in the post as well. I mean, obviously he was 5 years at Utah. He played pretty well for them. Showed some development over time. Last year, I mean, the big selling point is that he's 7 foot and he's shot 38% on 5 attempts per game. Not to make this like a compare a white guy to another white guy situation, but he does give me a lot of like Mike Muscala vibes. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah. But I also think it's just wild that the Raptors took an 18-year-old and here's another guy who's also a rookie in the same class and he's 25. Like this is
I believe that's what they call in the biz optionality,
Yeah, I mean for Branden, like, he's gonna sign a 2-way contract, undrafted, probably spend some time in the G League. I think his path, I guess the Raptors have really struggled with like finding a third big of late, like they've just had a lot of bad luck with like Chomche deciding to literally bet his life away. You had the injuries or the health concerns with Christian Koloko, which were so unfortunate. Hopefully they would be cleared eventually and somehow find a way to being a pro basketball player again. But like, yeah, I mean, we get another shot here. He's a guy who could really shoot it.
Yeah, no, I think big picture wise, like thinking about, talking about Quickley, how he might fit with Scotty and thinking about all these draft picks that are being added to the roster. Like last year was just so tough to just evaluate anything, right?
Yeah.
Like, based on all the circumstances that you talked about. And I think that's the one thing that I'm more excited about for next season is that we're not coming into the season with questions about like who's going to be on the roster by mid-season. Is Pascal going to be here? The fit with Pascal and Scotty. What's OG's future on the team? Like we're able to just have that stability at least in the roster and be able to like see if these guys, like even a Davion Mitchell, who I'm way more excited about now after listening to Coach Scott Drew. But like just seeing how all these pieces fit and actually having them build chemistry and figure out what it looks like on the court. Because I just think that was the other lost part about last season, aside from the fact that they only won like 25 games, is that like after Scotty's injury, there was just like nothing that they could take away from the season. It was just a bunch of random guys out there hooping. So like I'm really excited about just seeing this roster for a full year and seeing how these guys can grow and like who are the guys that are gonna like jump out, especially from all the players they picked up in the last few days, like who can be part of this core, who can be part of the rotation. Like I think that stuff is very exciting because like I know people are trying to get excited about the Raptors. Like there is like obviously you're not going to be competing for championships like every season, things like that. But it's like I feel like that is the excitement in like the rebuild.
Yeah, well, I mean, number one, you've like reset expectations, right? Like it's not like we got to win every single game, and like the pressure is sort of like there, and it's like if we don't win this, then like what are we doing, et cetera, et cetera. You get to relax a little bit, but I also think it's just like one of the things that I didn't like about last season, well, one of the many things is just like even when it became like, okay, the season's over and we just got to run out the string, it was like, but who are we even getting a look at, right? Like Quickley and RJ got shut down and also had some personal tragedies, had some injuries. So like you didn't get to see them as much, but we already knew like what they can do. Like they've already shown what they can do in the NBA level. And it was just a matter of continuing to expand on that. There were no other prospects though. That was the thing. It was like, all right, man, like it's Jordan Wara, it's DJ Carton, it's Mohamedou Gay, it's like Malik Williams, it's Jalen McDaniels, it's like that. And then it's just Kelly and I suppose Bruce Brown with like some random people, like literally random people. So I think now you've brought in like between the last 2 days here, we've brought in like 6 new players. And all of a sudden
even thinking,
you get to, track them. And at least I'm a little bit curious and I get to see like, okay, what does it look like if one of these guys hops in once in a while,
Yeah, even you talking about like Kelly, like seeing Kelly with the actual starters more, and even Grady, like Grady, obviously improved in the second half of the season, like what he might look like alongside, the cookout crew.
Oh man, the cookout crew.
Sorry, I'm really trying to make that happen.
Yes, chef, man, let's go.
Yeah. Oh my god. But yeah, like I think. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know if it's because I know we're going to be talking about the Raptors, obviously all season, but this is I'm drumming up some excitement. I am getting myself excited for like looking forward to these things for this coming season.
Yeah, now that we've had like, I guess 24 hours to sit back and look on what happened with the 2 days on the draft, like Raptors did do a good job of adding more young pieces, more guys who you can, again, invest a little bit into. And they came away with more picks. Everyone wants more picks. They did that. They added more defensive focused players. I definitely wanted that. I've been complaining all year that like this team doesn't guard. So yeah, let's just see how it all turns out. It's a big bet on Darko. It's a big bet on Scotty. It's a big bet on Immanuel. But what else were you going to do in this moment? And hopefully we just give them all the support to continue expanding. We got to hear from some of the newer players. Some introductory press conferences. Alex, what did you take away from those?
Oh yeah, we were definitely invited. Unfortunately, we had to, say no to that.
Right. Sure.
Yeah. No, I thought, Jonathan Mobo is, I think he's gonna be a very good quote, for the media. Lot of energy, and jokes. He was actually joking about how he's been mistaken for Precious Achua, and then per J. Lou of TSN, apparently, Mobo said that like he actually met Precious at dinner and told him this, and Precious was like, "Yeah, you do kind of look like me." so
okay,
that was the one tidbit that I enjoyed from that.
Is this like when we're like, hey, sometimes we get confused for each other? Like at games they'll be like, "Yo, Steven, man, love your work," and I'm like, what?
The crazy thing is getting confused and then also being called Steven.
Yo, Steven, I love your tweets, man.
Yo, like, how many levels is there, man? I love when people say I love my tweets, man. I don't even tweet like that anymore.
Like, Steven, I love your radio.
Anyways. Anything else you wanted to add? Jacoby Walter is going to be wearing, he's wearing
14.
Number 14.
Mobo's wearing 2.
Mobo's wearing 2. So, the Jalen McDaniels' number has already been passed on.
Last time I saw 2 and 14 in a photo beside Masai was when he acquired Kawhi and Danny Green.
Oh, man. How far have we fallen? Go north.
Go north, baby. No,
go north.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I mean, it's always it's great in the media. I think it's great for fans too when you get like a really well-spoken player who is open and confident and they're willing to sort of like, speak. I mean, whatever. Obviously, it's about how they play, but I think Jonathan is going to be a really immediate favorite in terms of the interviews. He was also talking about like him and Scotty have been boys since they're like, teenagers, basically, like 14.
He said everybody was crying at the like the draft
Yeah.
party that he had, right? And he was the one that didn't cry because he had to be strong.
Right.
It's okay to cry sometimes.
No, it's totally okay to cry, man. Look at the draft,
Yeah.
man. I think that's probably my favorite thing of the draft right now is players crying. It's certainly not 3 hours straight of talking about Bronny James, which
Oh yeah. Do we have to mention
God.
Bronny again for the algorithm?
no, actually we don't.
Congrats to Bronny for going 55th. You know, it looked like he was going to head to Australia.
Right.
You know, there for a little bit because Rich Paul was threatening every GM in the league to not pick him. So
what's the Australia option? Like he's just like, I'm just gonna go play in Australia and then come back.
well, I think Rich Paul was just threatening everybody. Like if you draft him, he's not gonna come to your team. Like he's
So he was
I think-
strong arming him to the Lakers. Were other teams dying to draft Bronny?
I think this was always. I don't think anybody's surprised that he ended up on the Lakers, right? I think we
No.
all expected this was going to happen. I never thought another team was going to like actually come in.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the funniest thing too was just like ESPN being like, "Here's 3 straight hours of Bronny content, which we turned the entire day 2 of the draft into." So I'm so happy we split the draft into 2 days just so we can do 3 full hours on Bronny. And then when Bronny was picked, Malika's like, "I can't believe I've never seen anybody covered like this." And I'm like, "You decide the coverage. What do you not you, Malika, but like the ESPN like producers, you decide the coverage." They're like, "Can you believe we've covered him? We're all looking for the guy who did this." Like, anyway, congrats to Bronny. It is a cool story to see him playing with LeBron, but yeah. Other than that, last thing before we get out, Canada basketball news.
Yeah, Canada basketball news. So they are beginning their training camp here in Toronto later today, Friday. And yeah, it was reported first by a friend of the program, Doug Smith of the Toronto Star, that Andrew Wiggins is not going to be joining Team Canada in camp. And basically, Michael Grange of Sportsnet reported later too that Wiggins was insured and cleared medically by Canada Basketball, but because the Warriors are looking to potentially move Wiggins, they stepped in and will not let him kind of play just because of injury concerns. And Grange also added that Wiggins is not happy about this, but he doesn't really have a choice here once the Warriors step in.
That really sucks from the Warriors' perspective. Like, from what the Warriors are doing, I'm not gonna lie. Like, obviously Wiggins wouldn't be happy. Like, he clearly wants to be here. It's like he's in the prime of his career. Oh, obviously he's had a down year, but like you know what I mean? Like he's prime aged, going to the Olympics. It's something that everyone wants to do. And it's a team that doesn't even want him anymore. That's the thing. Like,
yeah, like I told you, the dark web was telling me that, there's potential deal, maybe moving him to Milwaukee in a Bobby Portis trade. I think it's tough too because like Wiggins has had such a kind of like polarizing relationship with Team Canada and how the fans have looked at him in terms of like, there's certain times where he hasn't, committed to join the team.
Well, he's become the face of that, right? Like when people talk about, okay, Canada has issues with players committing to the program on the men's side, they always put Wiggins first and foremost. Like it's a little bit unfair because he's not the only guy who hasn't shown up.
Yeah, and it's tough. And listen, like I think people, who follow this news item will understand that this was kind of out of Wiggins' control. But there's going to be certain people that are going to kind of add that to the storyline, and I think it's just disappointing the timing of it too, for it to just happen so last minute. Right. Obviously, there's a lot of excitement about what he could have potentially brought to the team. So yeah, I think it's just a tough situation all around.
Well, I mean, my question is like, okay, I understand maybe he can't go to training camp because that's overlapping with free agency, but like they don't play the Olympics until the end of like July.
Right.
So there's plenty of time for him to get traded to Milwaukee, and then Milwaukee be like, okay, you can go.
Yeah, well, the Dubs are, as Grange reported, the Dubs are playing hardball. So I think this is kind of a decision that's been made. So
right.
Yeah,
that's tough, man. That's tough. That's a tough way to trade a champion too. By the way, it's not like Wiggins is a nobody for the Warriors.
Second best player on a championship team,
man. And I get the like he had some absences and like some of that I think from the team perspective from the Warriors side was like it's not that you're away, but like can you be back for certain moments and stuff like that. And it's a little bit frustrating because they couldn't plan for it. But like ultimately at the same time, it's like you still gotta. I don't know. This sucks, man.
It does
because you don't even want him on your team no more. So like, why are you the one like now blocking this? Whatever.
Yeah, it kind of just like I guess it doesn't matter if he's getting traded, but it kind of ruins that relationship.
Right.
But Yeah, I mean, the silver lining is like, again, we talk so much about the talent on Team Canada. It's like, I think in previous versions of the team, this would be like a huge blow.
Yes, yeah,
for the team. Whereas now, and it's like no disrespect to Wiggins, but it's like you still feel pretty good about the roster.
Yeah, for sure. So
yeah, that's
looking
it,
forward,
man.
Yeah.
So this was our draft coverage. Thanks, Will, for explaining to me who all these players are that the Raptors picked up. You should donate to Wikipedia for all the news you're able to pull from there.
Yeah, thanks for reading Sasha Vincenkov's entire Wikipedia page. Yeah,
but yeah, we're gonna be back. For those listening on the pod, I know since we launched the pod, we've been on the Monday, Wednesday, Friday schedule, and we're gonna move to, I guess, a more kind of flexible schedule, especially with free agency opening on Sunday at 6 p.m. So you'll hear from us probably first thing Monday. And yeah, throughout the week as Raptors news and just general NBA news breaks, we'll be there. And yeah, just want to thank all the people who helped with our draft coverage as well, leading up to and this week. Bobby Marks, Sam Fassini, and Scott Drew for joining us. Go North, man.
Go North, baby. So thanks everyone for listening. And you've been listening to the Hello and Welcome podcast presented by Betway.